I'll be honest. I like the Seahawks because I think we're starting to see the Cardinals level out here. I really do. I mean, you don't have James Conner out there.
Yeah.
I just think this is a team that had. Listen, they may be maybe like the Cardinals plus 7.5. Cool. But you're just looking for a winner here in Survivor. If you're trying to save the 49ers, if you're trying to save the Chiefs, if you're trying to save the Eagles, which most people like to do, you want to hold off as long as you can for those games later in the year when it's harder. I think the Seahawks may be one of the better spots because the Cardinals just don't. I mean, James Conner was a massive part of that offense. I mean, they came into last week, I think, with their second leading receiver having 48 total yards rushing. It's all about James Conner and then Joshua Dobbs. So I just think we're now looking at a Cardinals team and going, I think they kind of are who they are. They really are a 1-5 team, and they're fun and they're sparky.
Yeah.
But Seattle, especially with that secondary getting healthier too, even with some concerns about Geno Smith and his consistency,
Yeah.
I think you hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker a consistent amount of times here, I think you're going to get yourself in a nice position to win that game.
I like Penn State in this game. A couple things that scare me a little bit because I was high on Penn State coming into the season. Their offensive line hasn't been very good. And if you look at like the counting stats, I like both running backs, Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. I'm shocked to see that they're both averaging less than 5 yards per carry this season. Also, Penn State, I like Drew Aller, outside the top 100 in explosive plays on offense. And now they're going against this Ohio State defense. 2 top 5 defenses going at it. That's why I like the under. I'm a little bit worried, and it's James Franklin in a big spot against Ryan Day, who I also usually don't trust, unless it's against Michigan post last 2 years. So that's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous. Took the points with Penn State. I'd probably make this like a 3.5 point game. I could see Ohio State winning, but I think it comes down to a field goal. I like Penn State this year. I think they're the biggest threat to Michigan in the Big Ten because I keep making the case for Ohio State's offense is starting to click. They still haven't put together a full 4 quarters, and I love the skill position players. Let's see who's actually healthy in this game. But Ohio State can't run the ball, and even if they can, I don't know that they're going to be able to against this Penn State front. Love Chop Robinson. And if they become one-dimensional, do you trust McCord dropping back in this game 30-plus times, even with those receivers, against this Penn State secondary? I know they lost some guys
secondary
like Joey Porter Jr., but they've been good. So I lean Penn State.
I've watched week by week and year by year, whenever the Commanders play anybody in the division, you never know what's going to happen in these games. Sometimes they're blowouts. There's the Monday Night Massacre we had many years ago where Michael Vick and the Eagles, Vick alone had 6 total touchdowns against Washington. And then we watched last week, or a few weeks ago, and Washington almost beats the Eagles. Again, different teams, different eras, but you just never know what you're going to get from these games. I know the Giants are 1-5. I know we don't know what Daniel Jones' health is actually going to be, but anything's possible with these bad offensive lines. I know what I can count on, and I can count on that Browns defense, especially when you're up against the Colts offense that no longer has Anthony Richardson. I'm laying the points with the Browns.
All right, I'll play devil's advocate, and I'll go
okay.
against you. You know, we'll do the first take debate thing where one guy comes in, he's like, well, I don't even believe this take, but I got to go against you. And
do you believe this take, though?
I kind of do, though.
Okay.
I would only play the Commanders against the Giants because I think now the narrative is, hey, Giants aren't as bad as we thought. They just hung in there with the Bills. They probably should have beat the Bills because, let's be honest, Darren Waller was held in the back of the end zone, and that flag should have been thrown. But also, like, that was a game where they had extra time to prepare. It was Brian Daboll going back home, facing his former team. All the motivation was there. Perfect game plan. Now, though, you're going against the Commanders. You know, the defense is up and down. The secondary is not very good. You could hit them with explosive plays, but here's the thing. The Giants aren't able to hit explosive plays. I don't care who the hell the quarterback is. Daniel Jones is still dealing with symptoms from this neck injury. I actually think, like, Tyrod healthy is the better option right now because that's a bad offensive line. I'd rather have the healthy guy that could at least move a little bit and gets rid of the football and doesn't fumble and throw a bunch of picks. And the Giants defense, I'm still not sold on. I know they're getting pressure right now. I know it's been a little bit better the last couple weeks. You know, Buffalo only scored 14 against them, but that's, I think, a lot of that had to do with, like, Josh Allen also got dinged in that game.
Bills or those Dolphins to win the AFC. Both are plus 450.
It's got to be the Dolphins for me. Right now, the Bills, like, I know I just talked about, and I've said it every single week. We do our power rankings, everything. The Dolphins' defense right now is a problem.
Yeah.
I do agree that it can get better. But what I do know right now is there is no better offense, more potent offense, more dangerous offense than what the Dolphins have right now that we've had every single week. And in the NFL, if you can rally off 35 straight points, even against a bad team, you got a chance to be in every single game the rest of the way here. The Bills, they get off to slow starts, and then sometimes they stay slow. What we saw against the Giants was alarming. And they've got talent. They've certainly got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I know what Josh Allen can do. He's got the most rushing touchdowns out of all active quarterbacks right now in the NFL. It's still the Dolphins and that offense, which is just head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of that explosiveness. I want a fast, explosive offense in today's NFL, so I'm taking the Dolphins.
Yeah, I took some Buffalo, but I'm worried. I'm worried about the defense. Way too many injuries. Still don't love the right half of the offensive line with Spencer Brown. So I'll stick with the Bills, but man, the Dolphins are scary. I just got to see what they look like once Jalen Ramsey comes back. So I'll stick with the Bills since I bet them.
The Bills continue to be that team that's just so frustrating because you know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And then they let us down year after year after year. I listen, coming into this year, I still felt like their window hadn't closed, but it was starting to shut a little bit. You felt like there was going to be some regression. We've had flashes of great Bills, and then we've had moments where you go, what in the world is that?
The only thing that scares me a little bit is the matchup against Jacksonville. They are 6th in DVOA against the run. That's why I like the combination, like you said.
Yeah.
And he's only averaged 3.8 yards per carry. But, again, there's a little bit of rust. He hadn't played football. He had to start the season suspended. And now he's kind of getting his legs back under him. So he should start taking off. And they need something to get going in that offense. That offense, I didn't really like the Saints coming into the season just because of that, man. I don't like Derek Carr as much as most. I think he's a serviceable quarterback. He's good. He's just not great. And sometimes I think we overrate him a little bit. I got one. Shop around for best price. BetMGM has receiving yards 61.5 for Chris Olave. Minus 120 is the price. Obviously, we want him out there fully healthy. I need him for my fantasy team. I got offered a couple trades actually 20 minutes ago for Chris Olave. I'm going to hold on to him because he is still, even with Michael Thomas, having a couple solid weeks, leading all pass catchers. He's got the most targets. He's got the most receptions on the team. Granted, it's only 32. He's got over 400 receiving yards. He's went over this number, 61 yards in 4 of the 6 games. And the games that he didn't, one of them was Derek Carr gets hurt against Green Bay, injures his shoulder, and they have a 3-score lead. Jameis comes in. They're playing with a 17-point lead. They run the ball a lot. And he didn't go over in that game as Sam Houston. Just going to take the field goal to tie the game up. We'll take that, Peach. But I like Chris Olave tomorrow night quite a bit. And I also like the receptions, but those are 4.5 right now over at BetMGM, and it's juiced minus 140. So I'm good on all that. I'd rather play an alt line, over 5.5 even money, because I think he's going to clear 6 at least.
I can give you something that'll make you feel a little bit more comfortable about Alvin Kamara, too, if you're worried about the Jags defense doing anything.
Yeah.
So as a receiver, that's the key there, because the Jags defense has given up 243 receiving yards, 39 receptions on 46 targets to opposing running backs this year.
Yeah.
So right there, it's actually those three all the worst or the best, depending on how you want to look at it, in the NFL. So it's a great opportunity there. If you got him in fantasy, clearly that's going to be somebody that you're going to be starting. Not that you wouldn't anyway.